Okay, so let's have a look at the latest addition we included for the blocks element. By default, you can create an infinite almost amount of layouts with the blocks element. There's a small example set up here where we use 3 blocks on this line, a full block on that, and then 2 blocks on this one. But you can see that by default there was no option of creating any spacing between those blocks, not horizontally, not vertically. So we included an option where you can manage that. So let's have a quick look on how to do that. We'll simply access the dashboard of your blocks. If you include it, it will automatically go there. And in the left settings sidebar, which is the sidebar setting of your parent block, at the bottom under dimensions, the last 2 options included are the margin horizontally and the margin vertically between your child blocks. So if you would increase that spacing, you would see that some spacing is being created between those blocks, and then we would increase just like that some spacing vertically between your blocks as well. And now when we save, you can see that now we have nice spacing between our blocks. So another thing that could be confusing, for example, is that, let's say for example, in your previously created blocks layout you had 2 small items located one beside the other, and then have a full width block, and then F2 or whatever is coming next. So what happens now is that if we would, for example, delete this second block, or we're gonna delete the third block, our second block would be jumping right to the right. It would be jumping to the right, creating a bigger space between those 2 blocks actually. So I'm going to show you, it's going to make more sense when you see it actually. So we decided on deleting the third block in the settings. We're just here. We will delete this. And now you can see that there is a spacing between those blocks actually. So when we save, we'll go back. And we see we did delete actually our third block, not our second, but our second moved there. So how do you fix it in case you do want it to be next to each other? Because in this case is also an option, of course. But the way you would do that is just include another block and push it between, or in this example on the right of the block. So you create one, you would set it to the width values so it fits into the first row. So we'd set that to 4, and then we would simply grab that. Here would be between them, and here we would place it on the right. Since we want those 2 to be next to each other again, we'll simply remove any of the values making it visible. So we'll just drag the opacity slider here to the left so it's not visible anymore, and then we would also remove the border width. So now that when we save, you can see that this block will move again next to each other. And as you can see, there is another option here available, but if you don't want to use it, nothing will be visible of it. Now another option that we included is the option to vertically align content inside of the child block. So now you can see that by default all of the content here is vertically aligned at the top. So let's say we want to have this at the center or at the bottom. You can do that now as well with a new option included. The way to do it would be like accessing the dashboard, and then we would need to separately access the settings of a child block, because you can modify it for each child independently. So it's not because you set one to vertically align to the center that the other one is also be aligned to the center. Those are independent settings. So scrolling down in our dimension settings here, we include at the bottom a new feature which is called vertical alignment of the content inside of a block, and we'll set it to the middle, for example, and simply save it. And then you can see that now our content jumped to the middle of that block. So we have a look here on our left side, we see that our 2 blocks are beside each other, and our first will be located at the center. So I think those are 2 nice features included in the blocks where you can play around with and get even more flexibility, versatility out of your blocks element. Thank you.